Hello and welcome to Queers and Soaps. I'm Eric, joined once again by
Karen.
bringing you some more GH 1981 this time. We're covering many years of General Hospital on Queers and Soaps. Tommy will roll the credits and we'll chat. All right, we're covering December 16th to December 22nd, 1981, Christmas time. Doesn't really feel like Christmas on there besides like some random stuff, but like I don't see like many Christmas decorations like they used to do.
Well, that's because
Yeah.
it's not Christmas. It's Christmas Eve, but it's not Christmas yet because they haven't gotten to the point where Steve reads the story and they decorate the tree at the hospital. Like all of
I
that
hope we
happens.
I hope we get it because someone cut Steve out at one point. I was like,
I was so mad. Do you understand? I
I was
watched
too.
Steve every year for Christmas. My whole childhood I watched him read the story. And
Right.
he's been dead for a long time now and I missed it and I got really excited that we were going to see this little Christmas tradition that like was a big part of my childhood. And then that person cut. They just cut.
Yeah.
And I
I
was
guess they
sad.
weren't. I guess they were a Grinch.
I guess so. But I knew it was Christmas Eve as soon as they said it was Laura's birthday because Laura's birthday is Christmas Eve.
I did not realize that. Although I did know it was
Oh,
her birthday. I just didn't realize it was Christmas Eve for some
no,
reason.
Christmas
I
Eve is
just
her
figured it was
birthday.
Christmas.
It's a
Okay.
big part when she comes back in the 90s. They make a big deal about it being her birthday.
Ah. All
Yeah.
right. Well, I'm getting there soon because I am in 1993 and another one. So, December 16th, we have Bobby. She's excited because she has a surprise for Noah. Um, Heather finds out from Rose that the charges against Alice were dropped.
Mhm.
She's not very happy about it.
Yeah.
And we find out that Scotty had helped her get off. They didn't show this stuff though, I don't think. So I
No,
guess they just
unless
did it
it
off
was
screen.
clipped or it happened off screen, they didn't show that. I like Scotty had
I'm
had one
surprised they
conversation
wouldn't.
with Alice earlier, but they didn't. I
Yeah,
don't know. They like kind of skirted around it. Like you saw the judge at one point, and they were going to have her talk about it. That was earlier. I don't know. It kind of happened
yeah.
really fast, or it happened off screen.
Alice tells Leslie she's leaving town. Leslie tries to make her stay. Um, and she says Heather ruins everything for her and all this
Yeah, she's
stuff.
afraid. She's afraid that Heather's going to want revenge, and she needs to get out of town.
I think Alice is a shit mom. That's what I get from this. I really
Okay,
do.
so let me just say right here that I 100% agree with you. I think Alice is a shit mom. I love her, but I think she's a very weak woman. She has a very poor grasp of Heather's condition. She just thinks she's nuts and should be safely kept away from people.
Right.
And like it
Lock her
makes
away.
her, yeah, it makes her feel unsympathetic. Even though she just risked her life to save Heather, she did it in a way that was just like I knew she would murder someone, so I had to stop her from murder. Like it just feels very weird
But I
and
feel like
unloving.
she was also trying to frame Heather to
She
make her
was.
get put away,
She was.
which
Like
is
I
fucked
don't
up.
know. Was that like was why? Like I mean Heather's
Yeah.
wonky, right? We know she's
Oh yeah.
never been normal. But Alice treats her like she's a serial killer and she hasn't
Right.
murdered anyone yet.
Right. She's
Like
attempted to, but
sure,
she has
sure,
not.
sure. Just because she's bad at it doesn't mean she doesn't have the potential for. I love Heather so much.
Yeah.
She'll be free soon.
Um,
She'll be free soon.
Rose talks to Heather. She's like, Alice loves you, blah, blah, blah. We find out that Bobby got beef Wellington catered from, what's the place called? Do you remember? The Versailles Room.
The Versailles room. It's the one they all go to.
Yeah.
It's the
And she's gonna surprise Noah and act like she made it, which is pretty funny. And she's so excited about it too. I'd be like, wow, that's pretty funny. Um, Heather says something about like she doesn't want to be this lousy waitress and this
oh
whatever, and it
shit.
upsets Rose.
She
And
gives
then
this
she,
huge speech and she is just like, I want to be more than this. This is it. This is a lousy. I don't want to be this lousy waitress in a lousy restaurant. Like, and it's Rose's
Basically
restaurant.
putting the job down, yeah.
Yeah,
But she apologizes, and I feel like she really means it. Like although I mean, she convinces me anyway,
I
but
think
she
she
does
meant it.
apologize.
I think this was a case of I've done this. It's where you're trying to
Yeah,
express your
foot in your
feelings
mouth,
and you accidentally insult someone else because what she's
offend
saying is
someone.
I don't want to be a waitress for the rest of my life, and she's being hyperbolic because she's Heather, and she
Yeah,
didn't mean to trash what Rose had going because Rose is not a waitress. Rose is the owner of a business. It's
right. And she's
different.
like, I'm very thankful for you. You're the one that
Hmm.
stuck up for
I
me when
believed
not
her.
everybody else was accusing me.
And
But
also,
Rose
I think
seems
she was a little aggravated about what Rose said about Alice. Like, I think she was mad too because Rose was talking up Alice and talking up Alice. Because remember, I wrote it down because what Heather said was great. She's like, she killed someone and she's walking around here talking like she's the victim and like completely
right.
disregards the fact that Heather was trying to kill that woman. So I think
I
she was a little
mean,
stung by that. Like she was a little stung by what Rose said. So I think that's why her attack was a little more pointed than it should have
right.
been.
And then she also seems to be worried about Joe, and she's like, "Well, Joe's not rich enough for you, and he never will be. That's not what he wants." And like, because it seems like Heather wants a man to be rich, like the Quartermaines.
Heather's
She always does have this fascination with the Quartermaines. I did notice that
I think she has
throughout.
champagne dreams. I think she
Yeah,
wants to be a rich
she
heiress.
sure does.
I think that that's a lot of the root of the problems she has with Susan eventually is just like she wants it. She wants to be married and live in the big house. And seems to
Yeah.
completely ignore the fact that everybody in that big house is crazy. They're just crazy people running around crazy.
Speaking of Susan, Leslie calls Susan to help and to keep Alice in town. By
Yep.
the time Susan gets there, it's like too late. She's like, "No, I'm out."
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Alice is terrified. She's just like shaking. She's so ready to leave town.
yeah. Um, so I guess at Noah's house, I always put Rick. I don't know why I cannot call him Noah. I have such a hard time.
You're like, Rick Springfield
I
is
don't
here.
know why.
We
'Cause I
saw
know his
Rick
name,
Springfield.
because I'm like, Rick knows. So Noah realizes that the food that Bobby made, well, made
Oh, please.
is from
Bobby
the
can't cook. We
restaurant.
all know Bobby can't cook.
Um, Gail and Lee are on. She's concerned that Scotty's still messing around with Luke and Laura. Um, Heather and Scotty talk. She's like, "You got my mom off, whatever." She seems a little bit calm. I was surprised. I thought she'd kind of go off on him, but she really didn't. But she does say like she should have stayed locked up and whatever.
I think she was a little touchy after her interaction with Rose. So she came at Scotty a little softer than she did in the previous one. Cause like I feel like she was just like, I just had to apologize and all this.
All right.
And also
So,
I guess she still likes Scotty. Like her and Scotty have whatever they have on again, off
so
again.
Noah and Bobby had sex. Is this the first time?
No, they had sex after that weird dinner they
Oh,
had.
they did have it? Okay.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they did.
I
It's
didn't remember because I knew
because it
they
was
wanted
very
he
aggressively pushy during that.
right. That's why I couldn't remember if they did because I remember her being like standoffish.
I don't know. They fade to black
Um,
a lot during this time period.
and of course she says she loves them and he can't say it back to her and he explains why. How do you feel about that? You look like you have feelings.
I have a lot of feelings about it. One, I think Bobby goes from 0 to 60 way too soon, all the time in every relationship. And when I was rewatching this, it reminded me a lot of her relationship with Damian Smith. Um,
Mm,
in that she just becomes infatuated and she falls in love very quickly. On the other hand, I think Noah should never have in any way dated Bobby or gone anywhere near her because he knows that she was looking for a real relationship. She was not looking for a
mm,
casual thing, and that's all he wanted. And even
yeah,
if he says, all I want is a casual relationship, then why did he keep having romantic dinners and pushing to sleep with her when he knew that all she wanted was a real relationship and marriage? I think he led
yeah,
himself and he led her on. And I think it was immature.
I agree. He's trying to like say like, you know. I can't say that. Do you really want me to lie? And I get that, but at the same time, yeah, he probably should have cleared that first before, like, listen, if it's heading that way, I'm not feeling those feelings. But I think, yeah, like you said, Bobby does seem like a little like that. Like she
And
wanted a
he
relationship.
also like
He
literally
knew.
said, I don't love you. Like he could have said,
Yeah,
like he's like, I feel feelings for you, but blah blah blah. He could have said, I have deep feelings for you. Like even the way he phrased it was kind of like
yeah,
trying to be on both sides of the fence. Like I think I could develop those feelings, and then harshly saying like I don't have them though, which I don't know. The way he did it was messy. I don't think he was,
right.
but I also think she surprised him with it. So I don't know.
Yeah, yeah. Heather goes to Leslie's to apologize to Alice. She's gone pretty much. Heather runs out to try to find her, I guess. Noah tries to make Bobby understand. We said that, blah, blah, blah.
Isn't her shrink the one that convinces Heather she should apologize to her mother?
I think, yeah, in the next one.
Because why was she
Um,
chasing after her mother in that one? Or was it just everybody else was chasing after Alice in that one?
well, I think she just wanted to talk to her because I guess 'cause she was leaving town. So Heather sees Alice at the airport. She's like, you can't leave, whatever. They kind
Oh,
of
right,
hug it
right.
out, even though, as you said, Alice looks terrified. Um, what did so Lee found out that Scotty lied and he gets all mad at him, and I didn't really
So
catch what he lied
what
about.
happened was when Lee and Gail were talking at lunch, there was still so many suspicions about what happened with the divorce papers. So Lee said, well, here's what we'll do. We'll prove it's true or not true, and then we'll have peace of mind for it. So they talked to the bus depot and found out because, like Gail said, if someone's stuff had been ruined, it wouldn't be one person, it would be multiple people. So why don't we call
Right,
the bus depot and see if there were any complaints? And when they call, the guy at the bus depot talks to them about different things at the bus and happenings, but he says there have been no complaints in a year about waterlogged stuff. So
right.
it proves that um, Scotty was lying. So Lee said he's going to go after Scotty and figure out what happened.
And
Because
then
he,
Scotty's like, well, I'll do whatever I got to do. I'll sign a paper and all this stuff, like saying I'll try to help you and all this stuff, but he don't believe him, and neither do I.
no, he's lying.
Yeah,
Scotty's got tells when he lies. It's
he
he's
really does.
his voice gets like in this weird kind of soft register, and he's always like almost like coaxing the way he talks, and I'm like lie,
He's
immediately.
telling them what they want to hear and whatnot.
Absolutely
And he's like, all I want is respect and love. I'm like, whatever, dude. So Bobby like gets this pain in her head. I'm like, what is happening? And then she
right
falls, and then she's blind basically. She can't see. And Noah like runs to her and he's like, I love you. It's okay. I love you. It's okay. And that's
again.
the end of that one.
Noah, what the hell?
I
Like,
know.
what are you doing?
But I was more into this Bobby storyline really because I really thought it was a pretty decent way to write her out for this year because I didn't know how soon she left, and she
I
leaves
thought the
soon.
storyline, because my mom talked about it previously. I thought this was going to be more involved storyline. Like, she literally like they have sex.
Quick.
Things don't go well for her. She gets up in the middle of the night to go to the kitchen or whatever, drops like she has a seizure, and then she's like, "I'm blind," and I'm like, "Wait, what is going on?"
I
I'm
know. I was like,
serious,
what is going on? Me
but I
too.
was
I
like,
was I was
"Wow."
very upset. I know. So the doc does a test on Bobby. She said she can't see. Heather goes to Mr. Angelino. That's her psychiatrist. He's Three's Company, Mr. Angelino.
Doctor
He
Cat,
will always be that to me. Even in Falcon Crest, he's Mr. Angelino.
Doctor Cat.
Um, says she and her mom are friends now and everything's worked out. So that's why she went to him. So yeah, I think he tried to help her in the past, but nothing really gets through to Heather too much.
No,
I feel like yeah,
no. I think Heather does is
she needs
not
intense therapy.
right. I don't think she's capable of understanding what people are
No.
asking her to do. because and also I'm kind of a little aggravated because this is a very old school way of thinking, like now you would cut your parents off, but there's just this idea that like they're the only parents you have and you have to forgive them for whatever they do. I'm like that is crazy because sometimes your parents are your worst enemy in life and
Right.
like you have to protect your sanity and like everybody is bullying Heather into taking Alice back, and they're like, "Well, you'll feel better if you make this work." But at the same time, I can see Heather's point. Like that woman tried to frame her for murder. Now, sure, she tried to do that murder and failed, but she did not murder that woman, and she almost got framed for it because of her
Well,
own
we
mother.
know
That's
we know
hard.
you can divorce your parents. I think Gary Coleman divorced his, and Drew Barrymore divorced hers. So I mean,
I'm just
it does
saying
happen.
very prevalent. It was a
But
very
yeah, I get
prevalent
what you mean.
attitude to
Right.
swallow it, suffer, don't because it's better for you if you stay together with your parents who are abusing you. You know?
I'm sure it's very emotional to go through to divorce your parents. I can't even imagine what that
Absolutely.
would be
I
like.
think it would be
Like
horrific.
you would need like good friends and basically because if you don't have good family besides them who aren't good, like
Also, the difference between having a parent that loves you and a parent that uses you is like night and day. So, like, you know,
yeah,
you gonna forgive them just because they're related to you. That could be in your worst interest.
right. So Rick and Leslie are on, and it looks like Mike's natural mom comes out of the woodwork. She sends some kind of letter, and she
They
might be
received
interested
a
in tracking
letter.
him back.
Yeah,
Yeah.
a letter from her lawyer.
Huh.
And they
This
don't
is
say
interesting to me.
specifically, yeah, me too. They don't say what's in the letter. Like they're very vague
Right.
about it. But it's just contact from the lawyer, possible contact from the mother, and they freak out. They freak out. And I
Yeah,
don't blame them because Mike is the cutest kid in the entire universe.
he really is. It's so funny. Um, yeah, so I'm guessing this is going to be like their after Christmas story. Like it's kind of like tapping into it.
Yeah, that and
But
from
I'm
now
into
on
it.
we'll be dealing with the community center for the next couple of years. So we got that going on too.
Yeah. Yeah, right. Um, Heather asks her doctor for like helping her get a job at GH. Um, Alan and Monica are on if you want to talk about that. Do you remember what they did in the
Wait,
episode?
which part is this? Is this when
They're just kind of going at it, each other again, which
is
they
this when
kind
they're
of
doing the
normally
train
do.
set or oh
No, no,
sorry.
that's later.
My notes are like missing a few days.
Oh, it's
Um
fine. They just have Alan and Monica are still going at it. Edward wants to talk to him. I guess Monica leaves. Lila comes in and she says Edward looks peaked.
Oh yeah, yeah, she does. She says that he
He's
looks
like, I
peaked.
never looked peaked. And she's
Yeah.
like, and before she left the room, she's like, and Edward, you look peaked.
1 second. I know where those notes are.
I love it.
I have notes everywhere because sometimes I'm at work and
It's all good.
I'm trying to find my other
But
notes.
Edward basically wants to talk to Alan about like the divorce and Monica. And he's like, don't underestimate her. She is not to be underestimated.
Well, she shouldn't be. Monica's smart and she's getting help from Lila and it's crazy. Oh yeah, he says to Alan, he says you need to get control of Monica.
Yeah.
And Alan's just like, how? Like how do you do that? And he's like,
There
well,
is no
what did the
control.
lawyer say? And Alan said, Monica for the win. Like Monica would win everything, the house, the kid, everything. He's screwed because of him living with the mistress.
Yeah.
And everybody has been telling Alan, you are in love with Monica. This is stupid. Get your stuff back together. Which is funny because
And
then later on, Gail tells Monica, I
right.
think you're still in love with Alan. And she's like, no. And it's like, girl, yes.
Yep. That was my next note.
Yeah.
Oh, oh, Jesus fuck. Sorry.
Cat.
Auntie is being ridiculous. All right. Lost my chart of thought. Where am I at? Where am I at? And Robert visits Bobby in the hospital. Um, Lila wants, oh, she wants to look into some box that Edward has.
So Edward had a box in his room with letters in it from a woman. Lila is concerned that there aren't enough Quartermains anymore. She says that our family is declining. So she has Stella um, take the key, which Edward has the key hidden
Mm,
in the hall table, and of course, no secrets from Lila. Lila pulls the key off, hands it to Stella, and says, "Edward is sleeping. Go in the room
right.
and get the letters out of this box that's hidden here." And Stella's like, "Oh, he didn't move that," and she's like, "No, he didn't. He doesn't know we know where it is." And she's like, "What if he wakes up?" And Lila's like, "He won't. He sleeps like the dead. So go get us the letters." So they want to get
Right.
the address off the letters, and she wants Robert Scorpio to find the woman from the letters.
Okay. I know.
I
I
know
was
where this is
confused at the.
going.
Yeah, I have no idea where it's going.
You do.
I do.
You do.
So yeah, so Lila basically hires Robert to help her. Mr. Angelino goes to Rick about Heather.
Right. To get the job at the hospital.
Uh,
And he
Rick
says to
set up.
Rick, he's like, "Are you okay with hiring Heather at the hospital?" And Rick and Dr. Katz discuss the level of work and responsibility that they believe Heather can handle. And
Right.
they settle on, I think they settle on bookkeeping, basically keeping her away from facing customers, patients, and getting her to do something that's not stressful.
Um, so yeah, so Rick set up an appointment for Heather. Bobby tells um Noah that he said I love you during that whole whatever she was
Oh, God.
doing.
Yeah.
December 18th. Noah says he didn't mean it when he said I love you. He's just like I was upset. I was just telling you what you wanted to hear, blah blah blah.
Ugh.
I know.
I'm so sad about this because it's just like Noah is just not handling any of this well. Like
He's
he just
not, but
doesn't know.
Bobby,
Oh, Bobby's insane.
I feel like he should have just went to Luke and be like, handle your sister because I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
And
Well,
maybe
she
Luke
just
could have explained it.
yeah. I think Luke probably would have been the better option because Luke would have known how to delicately break it to her. And I think both he and Ruby have been for the last couple weeks being like, if if Noah isn't the right guy for you, he's not the right guy for you. You can't kind of force him to marry you if you want him to
Right.
marry you. And she's just like, "No, it's fine. He loves me and we're going to get married." And I'm like, "Bobby, dang."
So Laura's in New York, like trying to be a model and stuff with this weird guy. I didn't get any of their names except Milton
The
Berle.
photographer's name is Mel.
Okay. So I
Mhm.
guess she's with Mel
Yeah.
doing those weird poses and whatever, very 80s. Um,
Yeah. And there's a
another
weird guy in the background and
yeah,
he's
another guy
creepy.
calls someone and says that she's here.
Right.
So very mysterious.
I was calling him like man with scarf because he was like, that's what he was wearing and he was in the background.
So while in Bobby's room, this nurse comes in and like Noah's like, "Oh, my back," and like she starts massaging him, and Bobby like goes crazy and throws him out and her
So much for her blindness.
out.
She
Right.
reveals she's not blind. She throws something right at him.
I know. I was like, "What is going on here? Like this is
Yep.
crazy."
She throws a bowl and
Um,
she gets him too. And she starts
yeah,
screaming, "Get out of here." And I was like, you know what? Fair. That was terrible. That was so insensitive and crappy.
very, yeah.
Ugh.
Luke comes in and he tries to calm her down, and
He's
it's
really funny though because he offers her the flowers and then he's mad at her for being mad and then he's like, "You can't have these flowers," and then he's like, "I guess you can have these flowers." It was
but I
such a
like that.
brother sister moment.
I like the moment when he was about to leave. She's like, "I love you," and he's like, "I love you too." And I'm like, "That's exactly what she wanted, but from Noah." But it was
Yeah, she wasn't getting
her
that.
brother, and she got it. And I feel like when that happened, it kind of snapped her out of it, like what she was doing.
I think so too.
Um,
I think she realized that she kind of humiliated herself, which she
yeah,
didn't really. I mean, it's embarrassing, but also Noah was horrible. Like he handled everything the worst way you possibly could handle that scenario.
yeah,
I feel
he
bad.
did.
He did. And it's not that I think he's a bad person. I think he's a good person who makes bad choices.
But he also has a ton of red flags that she did not see. So, I
Dude,
mean,
yes. Yes.
It's both
Noah
ways.
literally walks and there's like a pennant behind him of red flags just drifting. And she was just like, I think I can fix him. And it's like, no.
But you know what's cool? Because I know that he has feelings for her. I just feel like he just can't. I
Commit.
think he's afraid of his feelings because I got that feeling when she came back in 1982 and they saw each other for the first time. It just seemed like something was still there, remember?
Yeah. And
And
he
like,
immediately trashed his relationship with Tiffany because
hmm and
he,
I think because he cared about Bobby and he just can't admit it to himself because he's still young and he just still likes banging
well, then
other
he doesn't
women
deserve
and
her.
he doesn't.
The timing is wrong. So, you know,
Exactly. The
and
timing
it
is
like
wrong.
own up to it. Don't hold her in place until you can
Right.
figure out your feelings. Like that's where he went wrong.
So while Laura's at her photo shoot, Tiffany and Robert are talking, and Robert like busts on her. Like he's like, "Oh, and now she's going to become an actress, I heard." Tiffany's like, "Oh,
Well, because
miss."
he knows how jealous she is of the
She's like, "Shut up."
opportunity. Yeah, and they're
Yeah, she
hilarious
is. 'Cause
together. I
that's what
love them.
Tiffany wants. Yeah,
Yeah.
they're fun. I feel like they're better as friends, though. I don't like them as a couple. But
Yeah.
but he tells her like Lila wants him to find some old lady, which I thought was pretty funny. He's like something about 1927, whatever. I guess because it was a long time ago. Bobby tells Ruby that she wants to be loved like Laura, like go through, like she wants to be wedded and have kids and all this stuff and whatever. She's getting ready to
Saying
roll
that I
out.
feel like all of this stems from Bobby's insecurity because she spent a lot of time as a hooker. So the only way that men related to her was in a transactional fashion. So now she doesn't know how things are supposed to be in a real romantic relationship. She has kind of like a little girl's
Right.
fantasy of what love is. And then these men relate to her in a transactional way, and she's devastated by it each time. And it's embarrassing and
Yeah.
it's humiliating and it's a knock to the ego. She doesn't know how to love like everybody else.
Do you want to
Here,
talk about this Buzz, magician storyline? Because I don't understand what's happening.
the magician that shows up.
Yeah, his
You're
name's like Bonzior.
Okay, so they're at the haunted star. It's like Robert, Tiff, Luke, and they're in the room, and obviously it's fun banter time between all of them. And Slicker brings in this magician whose name I wrote down
It's like
somewhere.
Bonjour or something.
Bajor. It's Bajor.
Bonjour. There you go.
Okay,
I couldn't
so
say it. I'm like Bonjour, Bonjour.
Bajor shows up and starts playing he's Slicker's like, this guy's really great. Watch this guy, he's amazing. And he starts doing magic tricks and messing with their heads a little bit, like you do. And he is excited because Luke seems to be picking up on the cues that he's giving and being like a really good assistant. And he even comments on it. He says that Luke has the gift. It gets a little weird because there's the flowers. They had received that bouquet of flowers. That is another like haunting Helena thing, or maybe from
Yeah,
Scotty. We're not really sure because
the
Scotty's been
pink
messing with them.
rose.
No, they're
Right.
purple. They're sterling purple roses, and they are Helena Castnine's favorite flower.
They look pink. Sure.
But they're because they've mentioned sterling, and sterling is a purple rose. It's like real pale.
Okay.
Um, so he had seen the bouquet in the wall. So he had taken a rosebud for it and presented it, and this freaked them all out because of all the weird shit that's been happening on the boat. So like they kind of turn on him for a minute, and he has to explain that he's doing his bit, that he noticed the flowers earlier, that he took the flower from it to do the trick. And then he goes on to basically say he thinks Luke has psychic powers, which Robert thinks is hilarious because Robert doesn't believe in anything. And Robert's my hero because he's just basically like, ooh, he has the gift. And they make the magician leave.
Yeah, it
And I am
was
just like,
weird.
what is this? Why is this happening? But it's
I
all
know
added
it was.
to this weird storyline
Yeah, it's really weird.
because the roses have been popping up, and it's got to lead somewhere.
So Laura has a meeting with Milton Berle and these other two dudes, Mel and
Uncle
some other guy.
Milty.
have this handsome stranger sitting to the right, just like staring.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Stalking her basically.
Yeah. The creep follows Laura like when she goes back. We find out that Bobby did fake her blindness, and she reveals basically that she's insecure and stuff.
She
To
is.
Rudy,
And
I
I
think,
feel bad
right?
about it. And she even says, she's like, I don't like the way I've been acting. I don't like what I'm
Yeah.
doing. I don't like the person I am. And I applaud her for that. Very brave.
And they break up pretty much, and she's like, I can't be your friend. Like, don't even ask,
He's like,
because that
oh, I
ain't
want to be
happening.
friends. Like, go to hell, Noah. Like, right now, you have done everything wrong. Go away.
Yeah. And then, like, at the end, where's Laura? Is she on a boat? Or no, a train, I mean? I mean, boat.
She's on a plane.
She's on a plane.
I think she said plane.
Going from Port Charles to New York City?
Yeah, it's like 3 hours sometimes. Sometimes it's 15
Oh.
minutes. Sometimes it's 5 minutes. Sometimes it's three
I
hours
know,
by
right?
plane.
I mean, I could get to Mexico in 5 minutes too.
Remember,
Um,
Alan and Tiffany and Laura took the plane the last time they went to New York City. So at this time, I
okay.
think they're probably banking that that Port Charles is in upstate New York.
It's probably only $5 to fly back then from over there. And we have this creep staring, like standing over Laura. I'm like, what is happening?
So why didn't she freak out?
Right?
Like, I would have been like, what the hell, bro? Like, I don't, she just closes her eyes and goes back to sleep. I'm like, I would never have done that.
Yeah, she freaks out later. I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
So December 21st,
Bizarre.
1981. Uh, Rick seems upset that he won't be seeing Rose anymore, which I was
Oh,
like confused
yeah.
about.
I don't, because he won't be living there anymore. Remember, he lives above Kelly's currently.
Oh, right. But yeah,
So
but I mean, like
what he's
everybody goes
saying
to that
is,
diner,
right. So what he's saying
but it
is,
won't be the same.
it won't be the same. And she basically says, bro, you're here every 5 minutes. What does it matter? And she's
Right.
like, we're always going to be friends. And I always feel like I like a good platonic relationship, but I always feel like with Rick, it's not.
I know, no, I was gonna say, no offense to Rick and Leslie fans, but there is some chemistry with Rose and Rick.
Yes. But there's like, the thing is, it seems like Rick is always flirting with other women, and he has awesome chemistry with Monica. He has great chemistry with Rose, and he has great chemistry with Leslie. But it's like
Yeah,
he's too comfortable flirting with Rose when he's about to get married to Leslie again. I don't appreciate that, to be honest.
right, right. I know, like they're talking about, are they getting married on New Year's? Because they didn't say, but they say it's coming up. We don't know. It's just gonna happen probably.
I It's going to be like it's going to be a very small wedding. We're like, literally, we're at Christmas Eve and they say they're going to get married in a week, and then it's like a few days. Time is a construct made by humans, not observed in. So
Right. So Laura gets home from her trip. Luke's excited to give her Christmas ornaments. I love getting Christmas ornaments. I would be excited too.
I thought that was
And
really sweet. He was trying to build a
it's
home
her
for her.
birthday,
Yeah, it's her
right?
birthday.
She fills him in on the creek, and he kind of like dismisses it, which I don't, that gets on my nerves. Like, but I guess there's nothing you could do to look into it further,
Well, she kind of implies that she thought it was a dream. And as soon as she does that, he's like, okay, it was a dream. And he just kind of moves on from it. But he's also been very negative about this whole idea. So I feel like any way he can push past it and talk about something else, he's going to. Because he's
but she tells,
frustrated when her parents come up and start talking about what happened in New York. He gets frustrated with that too. You don't want to hear anything about New York.
but she tell, so weird.
He's weird. It's weird. I don't understand it either.
I don't know. I mean, we basically know where this is heading, but I kind of wish he would just, but I guess it can't happen because she's the only one that's leaving the show. But I was like hoping that like he could just go with her and help her with the situation because I feel like it would have been a good storyline for the both of them, but it's kind of going to be like Laura's exit storyline.
Yeah, I did actually write in my notes that Luke downplayed the entire situation because it was
Uh-huh.
disturbing to me that he did that. But again, we're coming from the future where we're afraid of everyone because everyone is a weirdo. And like
Right.
he's coming from a time of everybody's probably fine. And you probably it was probably just nothing. You know, you're hot, so people look at you, probably.
Right.
Whereas Laura was like, even Laura was like, I don't know why it happened, but it was weird. And then she moved on with her day. Like and nowadays, you would be texting your family and friends, being like, "If this guy kills me, video of guy," you know.
Yeah.
Like,
Rick pretty much admits that he's having like getting cold feet or whatever. I don't know why, because he was married to Leslie before, right?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's just a little bit of anxiety about moving from back into the house and trying not to reestablish the same dynamics that led to your breakup the last time. I think that's normal to be like things are going to change and change is scary because he
Yeah,
and
that's true.
Wes have been getting along really well, not living together. So now they're going to change the dynamic again.
True, true. And they got Mikey
They got
for
Mikey
now.
and they got Amy. You know, it's not like it's just going to be them in the house.
Right.
It's a family instead of two people dating.
Leslie and Rick go to Luke and Laura's. They
They
Oh,
moved
what
the
happened with
tree in front of the giant hole in the wall. That was funny.
yeah, and they ended up with tinsel everywhere.
Oh yeah, because they okay, so first Luke was like, "Oh, we need to put the tree up." And he kept moving it and she kept saying, "To the left, over to the right," you know, doing that cute
Yeah.
shit. And then finally he's just like, "I got it." And he pushes it in front of the giant hole in the wall and he's like, "Perfect." And then they start throwing tinsel at the tree like you do. And then Rick and Leslie came in and they started throwing tinsel at them. And
Yep.
they were
They
like,
got
"Oh, there's
tinsel.
nothing for the tree." And I thought it was really cute.
And this is where, right after that, they cut Steve, and I put sad face.
Oh yeah, me too. Sad face. Oh, Leslie brought them china, their wedding china, as a
Yes.
present, which is something that's important to people back in the day. Now
I
we
think
now we use paper plates.
does the boat officially get named the Haunted Star because of all the stuff going on now?
Yes, yes. Even though Amy is the first one to actually call it the Haunted Star, she did that over a month ago.
Oh,
Amy,
gotcha. Oh, yeah, that's true.
I love Amy.
Um, Bobby tells Luke she's leaving for a new beginning, blah blah blah.
Yeah, he hates that, and he wants
I,
her not to leave until
of
after Christmas.
course, right.
Both of them say that.
Um,
They're like, "You're not leaving till after Christmas, though, right? Because like we're all together for the first time in like forever." And she's like, "No, I'm not leaving till after Christmas." But I get it.
Laura tells Leslie about the creep as well. She's telling everybody,
Right.
because she is creeped out.
And they
Um,
said something about cosmic communication, and like there's like a weird close up. Oh, it was referencing how Luke has abilities because it's the 80s, and then
right,
they were
right.
like, he has that cosmic
Um,
communication.
I like that Luke and Laura got home and like dinner's ready for them and stuff, and they're like, "Oh my God!" Like they think a ghost did it or something. Like
Yeah,
they act all creeped
who would
out.
have done this?
But it's Robert and Tiffany being
Yeah,
all
because they
sweet.
sneaked in and they put a cake up and food, and they made a little party, and it was adorable.
Yeah, it was. Laura gets some kind of gold star from Scotty. Hmm.
Oh, because when they were married, it was for the top of the tree.
Hmm.
She thought it was very sweet of him to do that because it wasn't something that he bought her, she bought him. It was something that was her family heirloom, and he returned it, which is
Right.
very sweet.
And Luke gives her a star necklace.
Yeah,
And then she gets a call and she got the job. And then this wind comes and blows candles out on her cape.
yeah. And then there's that weird guy staring or whatever.
Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah, I
In the
love
last
that.
episode,
I kept writing in my notes. Laura hates that boat. She hates that boat.
I don't blame her. There's no good reason to be on this boat.
I don't know. She hates that boat.
December 22nd, 1981. Lila and Monica start out the episode. Monica's like, "You look like Mrs. Claus." And Monica needs Alan's help with something. I don't think we know exactly what at this point,
I
what
mean,
she needed help with.
I
Well,
know,
I
and
know
I
now.
don't remember where my notes are, but I remember. the change books.
You're just like tearing shit
Just
up.
I'm sorry. I had a terrible time with note taking because like I was watching at my job and like so I was moving around a lot. So like my notes
Nobody
are all
watches
over
anything
the
at our
place.
jobs. We don't do that stuff.
I
Never.
do all the time. My job is so boring and over in December. So if you're hiring, you're not gonna
Yeah.
hire me if I say I watch TV at work,
If you
but
need a Karen. Um, Susan calls Alice to catch up. Heather brings Joe breakfast in bed.
oh,
And
okay.
she has her first day of General Hospital today. And she just tells him like, I basically that she wants him and whatever. She's ready to move along with life. Um, Monica reiterates and tells Lila that she hates Alan because what is it? Thou shalt protest too much. I forget how to say it.
Oh,
But somebody says that, I think. Somebody
methinks
says that.
the woman doth protest too much. It's
Protest too
Shakespeare.
much.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, they're all saying it to her because she's so hot for teacher.
Hmm.
She loves Alan. Like they're both smart and funny and they're really good at banter and they must be good in bed because they can't stop looking at each other. It's crazy.
I feel like it's leading to hate sex soon, but we'll see.
It's not hate sex. Those people are in love.
Well,
It's definitely coming.
fine line
They're
between love
angry
and
with one
hate.
another. Yeah, that's what people say, but I don't understand it because if I hate you, I hate you. There's no love.
Um, Everybody seems happy and excited to have Heather there. Well, everybody, Amy and what's that other lady? Not Jessie,
Georgia?
Georgia, are excited to have her there. Do we even know what she's doing? We just know that she's working there, but we don't know
Accounting.
exactly.
She's working in bookkeeping.
Oh, she's accountant. Oh, okay.
Yeah, they don't want her front
Um,
facing anyone.
and what does she tell Joe? Or what does she tell Amy? Why would you tell Amy first?
So
First of all.
she had this conversation with Joe that I don't understand why she thought that was an engagement, where they basically discussed what their lives were going to look like going forward, but not like in a let's get married and have a house, more like in a hypothetical. If I toss my shingle out in this district, are you going to be able to handle me not being a rich lawyer? And then she mutates all of it in her head that he's eventually going to be a rich lawyer and they're going to be very wealthy and happy and all this stuff. It's very delusional. It's saying delulu. And then she turns
Yeah,
that conversation into a he asked me to marry him, which he did not. He did not.
right.
And
Right.
I actually was so confused when she told
Me
Amy
too.
that. I was like, she did not, that did not happen. And
Me
like that
too.
is not at all. And then she's like, Amy, we're like, and she starts out saying, we kind of sort of are most likely engaged. Like she's very delicate about it at first, but as she keeps telling the story to different people, it goes from we're kind of engaged to we are engaged to we're getting married. Like it gets more delusional as the day goes on.
And she says that he wants to be rich like the Quartermaines. I'm like, I'm sure he's never said that.
He
Like,
did
where
not
did you
say
get
that. He said he was going to be poor and that he was going to be working pro bono in the Charles Street area. And like, he's like, I'm going to be working in the Wharf District. Can you handle that? And
so
she's like,
weird?
yes. And then she's like, he's going to be rich. How? And
Very bizarre.
it's weird because this takes over Joe's first day running his very own practice. So like this kind of
Yeah.
craps all over Joe's um day and what he was doing. And she does
Robert
tell it
gives
tells everyone.
Robert gives Lila the news about whatever he found out. All he did was make some phone calls. He feels guilty about taking her money for just doing
So
that, but
the he can't find the woman. She has moved on from the address, or she died or something like that. He can't find her.
because she's probably
No, she
90
died.
years old.
So yeah, so
So she
he
said that.
said that there was information on the son, and he gives her a little bit of information on the son being in Europe and some information he has on him. And then he's like, well, do you want me to keep looking into it? And she's like, yeah, but I'm going to pay you. And he's like, I feel guilty for taking the money. And she's like, I'm rich. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, right.
They are very cute
Pretty
because that
much.
whole situation where she was meeting up with Robert and Amy overheard, and like Robert made up a whole bunch of crap about why they were meeting, and like, oh, she needs lessons, I'm teaching her. And then when she shows up at the hospital, Amy's like, it's so good that you're taking lessons from Robert, and Lila just rolled with it. She didn't even
Yeah.
question it. And then she walks away and she goes, lessons. Like, Robert is always
Like
messing
what?
with people. I love him, especially since he messes with Amy like she's his kid sister, and I really enjoy that.
Right. Amy tells Anne about
Yep.
Joe, and Anne
And
goes crazy.
it freaks out.
She's like, "What are you talking about?" So she goes
Mm.
to Heather and talks to her, and Heather's like, "Yeah, this is exactly what happened. Everything's great." And
Mhm.
she's like, "Yeah, I don't believe you. So I'm going to Joe."
I'm going
She
to
goes to
Joe.
Joe and talks to him about it, and Joe's like, "What?"
Joe is what the ever loving. Like, he's like, when did this happen? What is this conversation? I felt so bad for Joe in that moment.
Me too. He was so confused as I
It
was,
was
and you
confusing.
might have
Yeah.
been.
And all of us together.
Monica sees Alan and says, "I want a nice Christmas for AJ," and she wants to put the old train out, which is like a tradition, I guess, in the Quartermain house. He's like,
It
"Yeah, I'll
is.
come over and
And
help
this
you
is
out
the
do it."
first time you see it, but you'll see it every year for a long time. The only time you see the Quartermain children is at Christmas pretty soon. From they go to boarding school soon. So this is
As
a
every child
tradition
does.
that they did every year until I guess Alan wasn't on the show anymore, but I remember them doing the train every year. So I got really super stoked when she suggested the train set. I was like, yes, I'm so hyped. And she was like, I need you to come do this. And she even extends an olive branch and she's like, you can bring Jason too, and it can be both our sons, like both sons
Right,
can do that. So she offers that as an olive branch, which she never would have done 3 weeks ago. So she's really softening towards Alan right now.
right. So she spills coffee on him, and they seem to have like this weird moment of intimacy.
I love them together so much. I do.
Anne sees Joe, brings it all up. Joe squashes it.
Yep.
He's like, "No, we're not
He's like,
engaged,
now I
whatever."
got to talk to Heather. Ugh.
Heather tells Alice. Robert feels guilty for taking Lila's money, which I already said. Blah blah blah. Heather interrupts Joe and Robert. She's trying to tell Robert the news, and Joe's like, "What are you talking about? Shut up, shut up, shut up!" And he like leaves. She's like, "Yeah, we're getting married." I'm like, "This girl." Um, Monica says, "Oh, bring your other son to Alan,"
Right.
and she seems legit, but she says it, as she
She
does.
says it like
Your
Monica says it.
illegitimate child.
Yeah, you can bring your illegitimate child with you because like she can't let it go
Right,
without a zing. And we do get to see
of
him
course.
putting the train set together, and she's kind of hovering, and he's like, "Can you just basically go away so I can do this?" And she's like, "We're trying to do something nice for Christmas," and he's like, "I don't need
Right,
you here."
right.
And I just really enjoy them. They're so funny.
It
Yeah,
is.
I think this storyline with this guy staring at Laura, it drives me crazy that nobody took it seriously.
Yeah, it's
And
not
I
going to be
feel
pretty.
no, and I feel desperately sad for Bobby. That whole situation with Noah was kind of pathetic on both sides, and I feel really bad about that scenario.
Yeah, so I guess Bobby's gone,
Yeah.
and we'll see her in a year.
And I continue to adore Heather Weber. Like she's my favorite thing that has ever
Of
existed.
course.
Other than Quartermains, because I'm like, oh, I love Quartermains. I love every Quartermain. I love seeing baby AJ and little baby Jason.
Yeah. Well, thanks for joining us for Queers and Soaps today. We're going to bring you some more 1981 eventually. We have so many things to do, and there's so many GHs to talk about. Have a good day, everyone. Subscribe, like, and comment. See you later.
Bye.